Alright, so I hate to talk like this, but LeBron James is an idiot. I don't really understand the amount of energy it takes to be that idiotic. Now, I'm not one to call insults. I'm not one to try to degrade somebody or put them down. But I think it's very important to point out stupidity when we see it. Many of you know about the 16-year-old black woman who was shot after allegedly trying to stab another black female while in an altercation. Not only is it idiotic that LeBron James decided to tweet out that that officer was next and apparently accountability was coming. If you haven't seen the tweet, at this moment, you probably won't because it's been taken down. Now, the reason I say LeBron James is an idiot, this is the same LeBron James who refused to actually say anything about the human rights abuses of China, but yet he finds all the time in the world to actually criticize issues when it comes to race relations in America. Now, why he's cherry picking his issue? I know exactly why. For one, LeBron James is a black guy. For two, LeBron James is a very successful black guy in America, and there's a lot of pressure there for people of certain statures in society to speak on these issues, even when they're not well equipped to actually have these conversations. And I'm not talking about somebody who has a college education, but somebody who actually takes the time to look at the information, look at the data, and really think these things through. Not just chasing any news story or trying to put yourself at the forefront of an issue to look like a savior. This brings me to a very valid point that I think we should all focus on. And before I get into that valid point, and I know I'm using my phone right now, but that still doesn't change the fact that you should like this video. Go ahead and destroy that like button by hitting that like button right now. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Go ahead and support the Hobby Library right now. Become a member. That's all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. And look, we family. And if you want to take it a step further, you can go to patreon.com/the Show. But if you can't afford a monthly subscription, then my Cash App and Venmo is in the description below. So take a little bit of time to actually donate to help, your boy build his YouTube studio so I can keep bringing you this wonderful content. Now, I want to point out something, and I'm getting back into the subject. Just because somebody is successful doesn't mean that these people are all-knowing or intelligent in all areas of life. It's just simply not true. For whatever reason, people all over the world, it's been this way throughout history. People look to those people in society who are successful to lead the way in all matters. It's just not intelligent. It's not a rational or logical way to go about your life. You shouldn't be taking your political advice from LeBron James. You shouldn't be taking your political advice from Kanye West. Just because a person can rap good or dribble a ball doesn't mean that they should be giving you the actual keys to success in society. Now, that's not to say that just because you are successful because you can play basketball or be a rapper, that doesn't mean that you're not educated on these issues. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to weigh in on particular situations. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is it very much shows when a person is not equipped to actually have these conversations. And if you can't realize one person from the other person who is, then you need help. Now, I don't really care about LeBron James. I'm not an NBA sports fan. I'm not a sports fan at all, to be honest with you. It's not really my forte. But LeBron James is not somebody that I go to get worldly advice just because he's a great basketball player. Hell, he may even be a great business person. He might make great business decisions. What does that have to do with politics? What does that have to do with race relations? What does that have to do with policing in America? It doesn't. And every time he opens his mouth, it seems to me that he's clearly not well equipped to be handling some of these situations. Now, it may not be his fault. Maybe this is something that he feels pressured to do. Maybe it's something because he has sons or people in his family because of his actual position in society that he feels entitled or that he has to speak out on these issues, or you know what they say, silence is violence. Now, this brings me to my second point of making this video. And regardless of my setup right now, I'm sitting in my room, it's fine. It's completely fine. What I want to talk about is Black Lives Matter, BLM. And I'm not talking about the specific people on the street who's actually protesting right now. I'm talking about the movement as a whole. Whether you are one of the people who riot or loot or just protesting, I'm not addressing each individual specifically. I'm addressing the movement as a whole. Black Lives Matter is crazy. They are going crazy. Now, I want to point out this specific situation that I was just talking about with the 16-year-old black girl who got shot after she was trying to stab another black girl, another teenager. Now, I don't think anyone who has a heart should ever wish the death of anybody. It's a tragedy anytime somebody's life is taken. I mean, I personally think in the womb as well, but another conversation. It's a tragedy. But why are people protesting? Why are people making statements? Politicians, just people in these movements, these black leaders are coming out condemning this officer for protecting another black woman from being stabbed to death by another black woman. Now, you might say she wasn't going to stab her to death. I've even heard people make the claim that, well, you know, when we were teenagers, we all kind of fought. And, sometimes knives came out. You're missing the point. And the fact that these arguments are even being made is beyond me. It's not even worth entertaining these type of people. When you get to the point where an officer cannot even protect another person's life from another threat, you have gone crazy. It's no way else to put this. Now, if an officer wrongfully harms somebody or damages somebody or does something out of his purview that is not sanctioned by the legal authorities or by the law, he should be punished to the full extent of the law without any protections. But that has to be based on evidence and due process. We're getting rid of evidence. We're getting rid of due process, all for the sake of making up for past injustices. You cannot do that. You cannot get justice by trying to compensate for past injustices. All you do is create more injustice. Black Lives Matter. Some of you have great intentions. Some of you want to change the system in some healthy ways. Some of you not in so many healthy ways. That's just the facts of the matter. It's very complicated dealing with Black Lives Matter or any movement for that case because there are so many individuals with so many different motives, so many different requirements and things that they're asking for that it's kind of hard to pin down what exactly do you want. And that brings me to the whole Black Lives Matter organization and leadership and these people who are trained Marxists. It's not my words, their words. We all know about one of the Black Lives Matter leaders buying a $1.4 million home. And she owns like 4 or 5 homes already. And she says, well, this is my family's money. This is my money to do those things that I wish to do. Okay, that's fine. But you sound like a capitalist to me. You don't sound like a trained Marxist to me. Now, this is crazy. Now, you may think that what you're doing is helping. You may think that what you're doing is getting justice. You might think what you're doing is setting the record straight and helping black people. But more black people have died in the process of seeking this whole social justice nonsense than that would have if you wouldn't have. If you want real change, you have to do it logically. And that is not what's happening right now. If you are one of the Black Lives Matter people who support Black Lives Matter and you're doing these things because you honestly want to see justice, you honestly want to see police held accountable, I commend you. We don't want unlawful deaths. We don't want unarmed black men, anybody being shot by the police wrongfully. We don't want that. And I commend you for stepping up and trying to make a difference in your world. But you also got to realize that there are people in your movement who are using your ideology or using your motives against you. If the police stop policing black communities, more black people will die. If the police stop responding to certain incidents, even when it's justified, more black people will be harmed. The people who live in these communities, the people who are in danger of being a victim of a crime, are put in more harm's way when you demonize all police. Now, that's all I'm going to say on this. You know, we can go on and on. I'm pretty sure I'll touch on this in the future again at some point. I know the conversation is coming. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you agree with me, disagree with me, write down in the comments below. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you think I'm wrong. Tell me what you think I'm right. Tell me what you think this whole movement is about. Is LeBron James crazy? Is Black Lives Matter crazy? What's going on here? Those are my thoughts. Hit that like button. Go ahead, smash it, destroy it. And subscribe. I can't say it enough. You know, support the show. Thank you so much for watching. Till later, I'm out. Be safe out there. Peace and glory.
1 in a million to 1 villain. Too hot to be in the kitchen. I'll end up melting the ceiling.